when you're afraid to do something, family. Sometimes you just gotta feel the fear and do it anyway. I recently had a challenge because I knew I was gonna have to fly, and I haven't flown since I was a little boy. But I knew I was gonna have to fly to this job training, and I knew that I wasn't gonna be able to drive because it's in Florida, and those of you know how I live in the DMV. So I said, you know what? And they were paying for the flight, so it was basically a no-brainer. So I had to fly, and I haven't flown since I was a little boy. I would just avoid planes and drive everywhere, right? But you can't drive everywhere, family. So as the flight was approaching, I did my research. Sometimes you got to use facts over fear. Yeah, I'm a follower of Christ, and you can just depend on prayer, and believe God. But sometimes you gotta look at the facts too, and I discover how safe travel is. I looked at all that. I looked at how planes are put together by structural engineers. The wings cannot come off; it's impossible. Planes don't fall out the sky. I mean, if the worst case scenario happens, that plane can glide right until they find somewhere to land. And that's if you lose both engines or something like that. But I just want to tell you guys, especially though all my people that are afraid to fly, I used to be the nervous flyer ever. When I got to that airport and I got on that flight, I discovered it's not that bad. I got on the plane, I sat between two older ladies. I could tell they had flown before because they didn't look nervous like I did. And I just came prepared. I have music in my phone. I have relaxing music in my phone. I had music videos in my phone, and I had my scriptures in my phone. And when the plane took off, I just simply did my head like this and closed my eyes. And I thought the plane was going to lift up and tilt and do all this almost, almost like a rocket ship. Because, fear will have you thinking the worst case scenario, right? When I had my head down and my eyes closed, I felt that we were no longer on the ground. But that's all I felt. I didn't know. I couldn't feel how high we were. I didn't look out the window. I didn't do none of that. I had my head down like this, and I was watching music videos, listening to music. I was reading scriptures, and I was praying for people. I said, you know what? I'm not even going to pray for me on this plane because I had done all the praying weeks leading up to the flight. So to get my mind off me, I started praying for people. I started praying for a friend of mine who got a cancer diagnosis. I started praying that my dog behaved back in the DMV because I had my dog. My dog was with his sitter. I started praying for friends and family, people with challenges and money issues. And I started praying for people's spiritual growth to get it off me. And whenever the enemy would hit me with a thought, a bad thought, I cast it down. I cast it down with facts, and I would cast it down over with spiritual truth that comes from God's word. So, more to the story, you guys, sometimes you just got to fight through fear. And if you're afraid to fly, book you a flight like an hour and a half.